Chase didn't know if the effects of his wish were going to happen over the course of the next few days like his second one, or immediately like his first. He could only hope it was the latter. He saw the seriously look in Sky's eyes as she threatened to leave them should they get a replacement for Marshall. In all honesty, he was angry too, but he knew this was going to happen eventually. The truth was, in terms of job importance, Marshall was one of the big ones. Fires were a serious deal, and having a team medic was always useful. There was one time, when in the jungle, Rocky set off a trap that resulted in him getting an arrow in the rear. It would have been funny if not for the fact he was bleeding to death. Marshall stabilized him and performed surgery that ended up saving his life. It showed just how important Marshall really was on the team. To have him replaced, it just still couldn't fit into Chase's head. Still, for the good of the team, it had to happen. Exiting his pup house, Chase made his way to the lookout where the others were already arriving. All except Sky, that is. They lined up in front of their food and water bowls as Ryder went already to work filling them up. They all greeted each other while patiently waiting. Just as they were about to dig in, the doors opened and everyone looked to find a nervous Sky walking towards Ryder. She stopped in front of him, looking at him with her tear-stained eyes as Ryder knelt down, calmly waiting for her to speak. "I'm sorry," Sky whispered, lowering her head. "You're right. I know we need to replace Marshall. It's just that." Ryder's answer was to gently hug her and bring her close to his chest. "I know. I miss him too, Sky. I wish he was here, but he's not. It's hard to accept that, but we have to." Sky, to her credit, didn't sob out in tears, but gently nodded her head and sighed. For the first time, since Marshall's death, a smile appeared on her muzzle which made the others' pups sigh in relief. Chase couldn't help but smile as well. "You know, it's been a long time since we did anything as a group," said Sky, shaking her tail as she looked at the boys with excitement in her eyes. "Why don't we go to the beach and hang out all day?" "Hey, yeah. That sounds like fun." "I'm game," shouted Zuma, roughing in agreement. "I think having some fun would be a good idea," seconded Chase, nodding his head. "Then I guess we'll have a beach day," replied Ryder as he got up from his knees. "I'll start getting things ready. You pups enjoy your meal." "Thanks, Ryder," the five of them replied as they dug in. Chase had already begun when Sky nudged him for his attention. Facing her, a small smile appeared as she whispered, "I'm sorry about yesterday." "Forgive me?" "Yeah, don't worry about it," replied Chase, giving back a smile of his own. "You okay?" "Yeah, I think I'll be okay," replied Sky before digging in. Chase couldn't help but cheer in his head. Looks like this wish might work. While they were preparing for their little beach party, Chase took some time to think about how his wish this time worked without consequences. When he wished for Marshall to gain the courage he had to confess to the one he loved, he did so without either him or Sky suffering from it. Only Chase did, having lost his own love to his best friend. However, he knew he would have moved on if he had stopped being such a downer and accepted their happiness. The second wish, in which he wanted them to break up, had been a devastating one. It killed Marshall, which did as he asked, but not the way Chase wanted. "Maybe when I perform selfish wishes, others suffer, but not me? Which means the reverse if I do unselfish wishes," he thought as he put his favorite towel in his bag. "If this is true, I wonder what I'll suffer from." He didn't care what it was. In fact, he wanted punishment for getting Marshall killed. There was no way anybody was going to believe him about the monkey's paw, so there was no chance of getting a proper trial for his crime. He didn't even murder Marshall if you wanted to get technical. A snake had done the deed, and there were plenty of witnesses to it. No, Chase would have to hope fate would punish him as well as whatever afterlife awaited. "They say all dogs go to heaven, but that's not going to be for me," thought Chase as he zipped up his bag and dragged it to the Paw Patroller. Everyone had just finished packing as one by one, they entered the Paw Patroller. It wasn't going to take a long trip to the beach, so they just sat down and began to talk among themselves. Even Sky was happily talking to Rubble about what future movies were coming out and which ones she was interested in. Rocky, leaning over, whispered to Chase, "She seems better." "Did you do something?" "I just talked to her, that's all," whispered Chase. Rocky nodded with a smile. "Well, whatever you did. It seems to have worked." Chase could only sigh in relief. Yes, it seemed at last something had worked out right. None of them could remember the last time any of them had so much fun. It almost seemed like a foreign concept to them ever since Marshall died. Thankfully, none of them seemed to bring it up during the whole day. They managed to get a volleyball game going with Rocky and Rubble on one team while Sky and Chase were for another. Zuma was busy practicing his surfing skills and amazing a few crowds with them. "Sky, jump," shouted Chase as he bounced the ball with his head. "Rough," shouted the cockapoo as she flipped in the air, kicked the ball, and spiked it. Rubble tried to save it, but he missed by a mile as the ball bounced off the sand and onto his head. "Yes. And that's game." "Darn it," said Rocky, but with a smile. "You two make a great team." "We're the best," said Chase as he high-pawed Sky. "Wanna play again?" "Nah, I think I'm going to take a nap and tan my fur for a bit before we eat," replied Rocky, passing the volleyball to Chase. "I'll see you guys later." "I'm going to go frisbee with Ryder." "See ya," shouted Rubble as he barked all the way to his amused owner who had the red disc ready. "You wanna play frisbee too?" asked Chase to Sky, but she shook her head. "Let's swim for a bit." "You and me?" asked Sky with a wink, making Chase blush, but he nodded. The two of them dashed into the water and began to splash around. Diving under, the two swam side by side, looking at the fish and plant life below. Rising upwards, the two gasped for air. Chase was about to say something when he got Splash in the face from a giggling Sky. Grinning, he dived under, but didn't reappear much to Sky's confusion. "Chase?" asked Sky, looking around for her friend. He reappeared behind her, tackling her and dunking her into the water until she got free. "You jerk," yelled Sky, but she was grinning. They splashed each other again and again until their arms finally got tired. Swimming back, the two lay their tired backs on the beachhead, taking in deep breath as they let the warm sun dry them off. Lifting his head, Chase noticed they were further from their spot than he thought. In fact, there wasn't anybody around for a mile, but he could make out others in a distance. "This was fun," replied Sky, softly smiling as she stared into the clouds. "I almost forgot how fun the beach is." "Well, we can come back in the future whenever you like." "I'll take you even," replied Chase, smirking, but then he noticed Sky frowning. "Sky?" "Chase, thank you," replied Sky as she glanced at him, but her eyes held such sadness in them. "I know that I've been unappreciated of your help dealing with Marshall's death, but deep down I am glad to have such a friend like you. You're a good pup." A feeling of guilt wormed his way into his heart as he closed his eyes in shame. "I'm not a good pup." "Of course, you are. You're one of the best pups and friends, I know," replied Sky as she nuzzled him. "Marshall always did, and I know you'll be okay." Sky asked Chase, confused by what she meant. "The others will need you, Chase," replied Sky as she got up. "Wait, are you still thinking of leaving?" asked Chase, in horror. "I am." Sky nodded. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. I need to leave." "Sky, just give it a few more days. Let's talk to Ryder." "We can." He was silenced by Sky's paw on his lips. "It's okay, Chase. It's for the best. I can't be here anymore because everything reminds me of him," Sky answered as she sighed. "I'm going to a place where I can be happy again. A place that won't let me wake up in tears knowing my love is dead. I need this, Chase. I need it so badly. She then looked him in the eyes and begged. Please, don't tell the others. They'll know in the morning, but for today, let's make it a fun day. He looked into her eyes and realized she was serious. His thoughts turned back to his wish. Was this really the best way to make Sky happy? To let her go? He still didn't know where, but Sky had always been welcome to join Ace should she want to pursue a career in stunt flying. Maybe she needs this, maybe she really needs to be away to be happy. He closed his eyes and nodded in defeat. Okay, but promise me we'll still see each other from time to time? Sky bit her lip and nodded. Yeah, we will. Chase couldn't help but feel like she just lied to him as they walked back to their friends. After a cookout dinner, everyone headed back into the Paw Patroller and back to the lookout. All the pups were tired from their fun, so it was decided to head to bed early. Chase and Sky walked side by side to their pup houses as Chase looked at Sky before she entered hers. She smiled at him and waved goodnight before going in. Chase, closing his eyes, walked inside his own. He rested his head on his pillow and wondered if this was the right thing. Was it right to let Sky go? After all this time? At least she isn't running away. She's telling everyone tomorrow. The others will be upset, but at least we can give her a going-away party. Closing his eyes, Chase drifted to sleep. Zuma's screaming woke him up. Chase, ever the alert dog, jumped up and looked around before realizing it was coming from the other end of the lookout. Fearing the worst, Chase rushed out, teeth ready to face any intruder as he struggled to handle the rising dawn. Rocky and Rubble were already crawling out, unsure of what was going on as Chase ran past them. He followed the screams until he saw the crying and horrified Zuma, who looked pale as he stared up at a tree in horror. Chase had never heard Zuma scream in such a way before. Never had the fearless pup he had known looked so terrified. Rushing to his side, Chase held him and tried to clam him down, but Zuma continued to yell as if the world had ended. Looking in the same direction, Chase felt everything in him stop as he stared at the figure hanging from the branch. A single noose tied around her neck, Sky swung back and forth with her eyes closed and her smile stretched as far as it could. Never had she had such a happy smile. Chase then screamed along with Zuma.